All right, welcome back. This is event 1 of your 2025 season. We are here in the shadow of Raymond James Stadium to watch some WNXL semifinal action. This is going to determine who gets to go onto the pro field for all the marbles. I'm Matt Falby, and I'm lucky enough to be joined in the booth by Jen Falk. Jen,
Thank you for having me, Matt.
Yeah, Jen's here
to be back.
Jen's here to take my job. By the end of this, I will get a pink slip, and I'll be walking off the set.
Hey, that's my number one goal is to take Matt's job here.
Good Lord. This is all I have. Why do you got to take that away from me, too?
Hey.
All right, Dallas 5 versus New Jersey High Rollers here in a couple seconds. On the backside of this, we're going to watch the Heroines take on FEMMES Fatale. You have a favorite in that Heroines game?
Listen, I'm going to be as unbiased as possible here, so I'm just happy to be here. Happy to be taking a little bit of a different role here. All right, so we got Vibe breaking out on the left here, and I'm going to see Angie taking the snake. Aggressive breakout here for Dallas Vibe. However, they are going to lose their front Dorito attacker, so it is a 5-on-4 advantage here for the High Rollers on the right. It looks like High Rollers would like to go a little bit more pocket, but they do key up on that kill, so sometimes that's a risk-reward situation. But Vibe does have control of the snake right now. We've got Angie here in snake 2, and beside her we've got Nicole Gates locking off the snake side here, keeping Beta Ducks for High Rollers stuck in that snake insert there. So not a bad risk there for Vibe. Curious to see how this shakes out, knowing they did lose a body off the Dorito side. Angie going to push up here into snake 3 for Dallas Vibe, and it looks like Rollers might be getting a check here in the home, and it looks like she is good to go. All right, so still 5 alive here for Rollers. Playing very controlled ball at the moment. It looks like Beta Ducks is going to make her way into the snake here for High Rollers on the right. She's going to go into the outside snake 1.
Beta has been the tip of the spear for High Rollers all weekend long.
Absolutely. Beta is someone you're definitely going to want to keep your eyes on. One of the more athletic players out here. She'll make her spots, that's for sure. It looks like High Rollers did dip out into the Dorito 1. I believe that was Janaea Curtis moving out. So they are still 5 alive with the body advantage here.
Tejada creeping around the outside of that, looking to be clear. If she's clear, she's going to go. I think you might see her duck walk in.
Yep.
Nope. She chooses to take the inside lane, a little bit safer.
All right, and Beta's also going to push up here on your screen into the snake 2 for Rollers. First body you're going to take the walk for Rollers is going to be Taylor Hofer coming out of that center wedge. So it's going to be a 4-on-4 situation here. Even the body count back up. Both teams have a player in the snake. Another body's going to drop for Vibe out of the center, so it's going to be a 4-on-3 for Rollers. It looks like Rollers are up in the Dorito 3 and the Dorito 1, and they just got wide on the snake side out to the snake corner. So good field spread here for Rollers with the high body situation, and as soon as I say that, looks like the front Dorito for Rollers is going to get taken out. So back to a 3-on-3 situation here, and Angie is going to push her way into the snake 50. She's looking inside.
Yeah, she's not aware of the danger that close to her, though.
Yep, and it looks like Corinne. Oh, hang on. We got some action here in the snake. Angie's going to come to the outside snake here, and Beta is going to have to watch herself. She's going to have to listen. Okay, so Angie recognizes the snake corner is out there for Rollers, and I believe Vibe is also up on the Dorito side. They are. Corinne Baird is in the Dorito 50 now. For
Beta, this is totally worth trading her body. You got to get Angie out of that brick before she does too much damage.
Well, the good thing here also, Matt, is that we have, when I say we on the right, well, I spoke too soon. I was going to say High Rollers have the snake corner here, and they could have, kept Angie from wrapping, but now we got to see if Angie knows that there's a snake here. And it looks like they are going to trade. But a body drops. Nicole Gates drops out of the center for Vibe, so I believe it's just going to leave Corinne Baird by herself on the Dorito side. And she's pushing down the Dorito side. Are there any bodies left for Rollers? There are not, because Janaea Curtis was the last body, and I don't think she realized everything that had happened there. So it looks like Corinne Baird, the lone survivor here for Dallas Vibe, is going to ride it out. She's looking around like, wait a second.
Yeah, she doesn't believe it. She's like, this is a trap. So, surely this is a trap.
Great point there for Corinne Baird. She lost her front Dorito off the break, maintained her composure, followed up down the Dorito side, even in a low body situation there, and held it down on the Dorito side. So great point there for Corinne Baird. Dallas Vibe's going to go up 1-0. All right, Matt, you want to do an introduction? I feel like I just spoke 5,000 words.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
I love the play-by-play, though. I love it.
No, you're doing fantastic. I'm just going to stay out of your way. All right, Heroines versus Femme Fatale. Heroines got to be the favorite coming into this one. No disrespect to Femmes. I expect to see Tammy Adamson leading the charge up the middle for Femmes. That's kind of been their standard play all weekend long. Heroines have gotten it done in every way possible. The only thing they haven't had to do really is come back from down point situation.
Right.
That's not their style.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, full disclosure for everyone at home that might not know me, this is my first year off of playing from the WNXL. I played on the Heroines for 3 years, so I promise you guys I will be as unbiased as possible here and call this game as I see it. All right, it looks like Heroines are going to elect to go a little bit pocket, and it looks like Femmes are as well. Both teams not really wanting to risk it out wide, but the Femmes are going to be the first into the snake now. I'm trying to see. Looks like that's Roxy moving into the snake 4. She's pushing all the way up into the snake 4, and Tammy Adamson's going to come up behind her in this snake side tower.
So if the Heroines lose their home, they're getting itchy feet over there to get into Dorito, but I don't think they're going to have an opportunity to do so. This might be the pocket they're going to have to live or die out of.
Yep, so first body to drop from the Heroines is going to be Katie Kelly out of the back center. They were doubled up. Her and Krista. It looks like Danny Rojas is going to make her way into the snake here.
Bypassing snake 1 into snake 2. She's going to look cross, see if there's any free kills to be picked up.
Another big fill up the center for FEMMES. I'm trying to see who that was, but they went to that center wedge. So FEMMES with a double center penetration. However, FEMMES are going to catch a minor off the Dorito side. Oh, and another body's going to drop. And another body's going to drop for the FEMMES. Man, that was a tough break there for the FEMMES. They had the body advantage to start this point off.
There's a chance here, though. They're not aware of the
Yep, right here. You got some action in the snake. You got Danny and Roxy right here in front of each other.
She can't trade. She can't trade. Oh, that is going to be a major. That's a major all day long. No, that's the right call by the refs. Yeah, her gun stayed up. I hate to say it, but Rojas' gun stayed up way too long.
Okay, so I think we're going to have a no point here, Matt, because I don't think there's any bodies left to pull.
That's it.
So, yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, so just break this down real quick. It looks like FEMMES got a minor out of the backfield on the Dorito side at the same time that two of their other players were getting shot, which ultimately left Roxy here in the snake on her own. Danny was moving up in the snake, didn't know that Roxy was right there in front of her. Danny pulled her gun up after she was shot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they're talking about the play now. But as the way we saw it, it looked like the penalty was on Danny, which is going to pull out Krista and Nana out of the Dorito side, because right before that happened, Matt, Alexis died out of the center, it looked like. So I think had Alexis been alive for like maybe one more second, they would have had one more body left to pull. But the refs are going to talk this out, and we'll see where we end up after this call.
They are. The fact that the refs are even having a discussion means that there isn't a 100% confidence in what their call was.
Right.
It looked right to me, but what do I know?
Yep, and it's tough because while Danny was laying in there, she had her gun like pointed upwards, but it seemed like when Roxy came around, she might have pointed it up a little too high. You know what I mean?
But her eyes weren't pointed that way. I think. And that's the thing.
So I think she had the right idea of making sure she didn't have her back to her and then spun. But
so when I ref, and I'm not reffing much lately, but when I ref, the thing is when I see a bunkering coming, the first thing I always do is look at the defender. I look at their eyes and I look at their gun. And if either one of those are not pointing in the direction of the attacker, then the odds that I'm going to go to throw a flag are not guaranteed, but they go way, way up. Right?
All right, let's see if we can get some word on this call here.
We've got Jen Falk creeping into the refs conversation. She's gone full stealth mode trying to figure it out. She slipped on the ghillie suit, sliding up underneath.
All right, Matt, I feel like I got a little bit of information there. So it sounds like the refs may have miscounted the number of alive bodies left for Heroines.
Okay. Yep.
So the penalty does stand on Daniela Rojas. They're currently trying to figure out if there was enough bodies to pull or if the Heroines will be starting on one, and they're going to review that.
Okay.
All right, so going back into this next match, it looks like Roller's going to elect to take the Dorito one. So going a little bit wide on the Dorito side, and they did go pocket, but Veda's going to make her way into the snake here quickly for the Rollers.
Clean.
And she made it clean. All right, let's see what's going on here for Vibe. Vibe elects to go short on the snake side with Angie going to the snake insert. However, Angie's going to work her way into the snake, and the first body to drop for the Rollers is going to be the front Dorito. Big bite for Veda, pushing up into snake 3. Vibe does have the center snake tower looking down into the snake. However,
I don't think they saw the move because Veda's taking no pressure.
I agree with that.
Veda has an opportunity to drop and crawl. That tower is crunching low. Now back up on her feet.
Yep,
this could be danger zone. Veda slips right through that net, though.
Yep. So as you can see on your screen here, Veda with a really good field position, especially with the Rollers being down a body and down a point. I would look for her to make a move here in a second. And if she wraps this and the tower here for Vibe is not aware, she might get a free one there.
Roller's relatively stationary over on the Dorito side. This is really up to Veda to make it happen.
Oh, great move for Veda Ducks there, stepping out wide to get the shot in on Angie to even up the body count. Great read there for Veda Ducks. I
normally advocate never go wide and stand in the open, but that absolutely worked that time.
Yep, and you guys can see on your screen here, we've got Michaela Wilkins here in the snake tower for Vibe, who now recognizes that Veda is here, and if Veda is not careful, she might get the drop in on her. But
High Roller's up into D2 now, pushing the Dorito side.
Vibe also pushing the Dorito side with their Dorito 1 and Dorito 2. And Dorito 3. Vibe into the Dorito 3 now.
Taylor under a lot of pressure in that stand-up tower, though. She's living behind her gun from the Dorito side. She's switched over to the snake side, just simply safer.
It looks like the comms did get across field for rollers over here to Veda. Veda's looking on the inside to try to get the drop in on the Dorito 3.
That Dorito 3 is the one that's putting Taylor in danger for the high rollers.
Yep, so Taylor electing to look this way.
Veda's going to wrap this tower. This tower's waiting for her.
All right, let's see who wins.
Yeah.
Who wins this engagement here. 4-on-4 situation here.
If Veda could see what I see, I'd tell her not to wrap. Instead, she's going to focus on the Dorito side.
Well, this is a situation where...
Tower dropping back.
All right, we got the Dorito 3 for Vibe putting pressure on Veda here. She's going to hit the deck and crawl.
Yeah.
Big fill out backwards for Michaela Wilkins for Vibe, getting out of that tower, moving back to the snake insert. Good move there for Michaela Wilkins. The Dorito 3, I believe that's Leslie Cluis for Vibe, looking on the inside to try to get the drop here on Veda. If Veda pops up in their snake, she's going to catch her in the eyes. Big move up through the center from Sobe Glass here, looking to put pressure on Michaela Wilkins and keep her out of the snake. So
they got two guns pointed snake ways there for high rollers. They've really locked this down. That should give Veda freedom to do kind of whatever she wants to do.
Yep, and rollers just moved up into the Dorito 3 as well. Big move here by Sobe Glass into the center.
That should have been a sacrifice move, but she's still alive in there. She's going to survive it.
Oh, and Michaela Wilkins takes one to the head. So great control there, but I think that was Taylor Hofer who got the shot in on Michaela. 4-on-3 situation here for the rollers. They're also in the Dorito 50, and Veda's going to do a retreat back into the snake 50. And the ref is going in to check the Dorito player for Vibe, who gets a minor. What a break here for the rollers. Hadley Horseman with a big fill out to the snake corner, and she makes it. Great move there by Hadley.
Veda's out of paint,
and Hadley gets
I'm not sure it's going to matter. That's it.
Man, that was a lot of action, Matt.
That was a great point. Can I complain?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's my complaint I've had all weekend
long. All right, let's hear it.
If you're on this particular layout, if you're like in a down body situation and you're going full defensive, dear God, stop going to that baby Dorito in the snake corner. Why do players keep going there?
That's a hard spot to live in. I will agree with that. That was honestly, I do want to give a shout out to the rollers for that point. They go down a body early. They're in a 4-on-5. They know they need to score the point in order to tie the match. Great control there by Veda to bring that back. And to value her body, Matt, I think Veda did a fantastic job in this Snake 50. After she shot Angie, a lot of times you'll see people get a little antsy and try to take advantage. But Veda kept her composure, stayed alive, made Vibe sweat a little. Great fill out for Michaela Wilkins to get out of that tower into that snake insert, though. Really solid point all around, I think.
Absolutely. Well done. Well, we're back onto the Femme Fatale side.
All right, breaking back out into the next point. It looks like FEMMES did get the point. Heroines going to be starting with 5, though, so the penalty was assessed.
FEMMES into the snake now. 5 alive for FEMMES. They're spread across the back. They got one up at that snake tower, now into snake. That looks like that. All right, they're going to lose it. Fortunately, no penalty there for the FEMMES, so they're down to 4 bodies.
Yeah, so first body for drop for FEMMES is going to be Mercedes out of that snake insert. So it'll be a 5-on-4 situation here for the Heroines, who elected to go a little wide on Dorito's side, but kept Tata Blanco short here in the snake Aztec insert bunker.
FEMMES have no presence over there on that Dorito side, but it may not matter if they can continue to do work on the snake side. She's going to choose to crawl the inside lane. That's rather unusual. Oh, yeah. Keep your pack down or you're going to get picked by that Dorito.
Well, this is where it gets tough because you can see Alexis Laser here in the snake side tower for the Heroines. And when you're in that tower and you're not sure where the snake is, it's a lot of whack-a-mole. And as soon as I say that, it looks like Alexis is going to take the walk out of that tower.
Are you calling Alexis a mole?
What?
I'm kidding. You said whack-a-mole. I'm just kidding.
No. When you're in the tower, you're playing whack-a-mole in the snake because look at all these different spots that they can pop up in. So you're really just hoping you pick the right spot. It's very easy to get the...
There's a minor on the Heroines. I saw a yellow flag fly, but I didn't see bodies getting pulled.
Well, I still see Chrysatitis in the home.
Yeah.
Tata Blanco did get pulled. Alicia Valdivia is in the Dorito 1. So I think that is, I'm trying to figure out how many bodies are left alive. And it looks like Brooklyn Stellato. So there are, and that's actually Katie Kelly in the home. 3 bodies left for the Heroines, all on the Dorito side. So they're in a 3-on-4 situation here.
Yeah, FEMMES now starting to push side. I wouldn't mind seeing the FEMMES back line, especially on the Dorito side. Go ahead and start pushing up. Close this out.
Yeah, we got to move through the center here from the FEMMES as well, pushing into the snake side wedge. But Roxy is currently crawling into the snake one of the Heroines.
That should not have worked.
Hang on, she's about to get a check.
And the
ref's going to let Katie know exactly where Roxy is. And the bread
They're going to throw I think that's intended to be a minor. No, they're throwing it as a major.
It looks like, I don't know if this is what it's being called on. I'll try to find out. But it looks like Roxy might have a face hit on her mask. I'm not 100% sure, but that's going to be a big blessing for the Heroines. But it looks like Brooklyn Stellato going to drop.
The question is, was that considered to be a wipe? That might have been. I mean, that's my best explanation.
Well, hang on, Matt. So it looks like they pulled all of the FEMMES. So maybe it was a gross major?
Yeah, it might have been a wipe.
I'll try to do a little discovery work.
Wiping,
find out.
By the way, if you're watching at home, wiping doesn't necessarily have to involve your hand wiping off a hit. If you use the environment around you to intentionally remove a hit from your body, i.e. sliding an elbow on the ground or shoving your face mask into a bunker to try to grind the hit off, that will also be major. I don't know if that's what the call was, but the body count coming off kind of makes it look like that's what the call was.
Yeah, because I think
she wasn't actively shooting her gun at that point, so she couldn't have gotten a kill, so that shouldn't have been a major for that reason.
Well, the only body that FEMMES had lost was Mercedes out of the snake insert. So they had 4 bodies alive. Roxy gets the major, and then there should have been 3 bodies elsewhere. And unless one of them had just gotten shot, otherwise if they pulled all 3, then that would obviously indicate a gross major. But that's going to put both of these games at 1-1 tied up here with still plenty of time on the clock. But
well, if that's what it was, it's a little bit of a gift for the Heroines because they were absolutely on their back feet on that one. That should not have worked out for the Heroines, but they're going to pull back that game to 1-1. Well, both of those games, really the ending was determined by penalty.
Yeah. We are definitely seeing some penalties out here, that's for sure.
If I'm the coach of both either the Heroines or FEMMES, I'm going to say, hey, watch it, because that has literally decided both of the points in that match.
All right, so we got a tie game here.
5 rollers, 8:50 on the clock. That's way more than time than it matters.
And it looks like Corinne, either she got shot in the pack or she left early, and another body going to drop for Vibe out of the Dorito 1. So Vibe immediately down 2 players, and it looks like rollers are 5 alive.
Yeah, Vibe up here in the Snake Tower, very important. But they're now going to be having to stop a landslide. The rest of the team, their 2 other players are in a pocket situation. I don't know if they can even get out of it.
Yeah, and it looks like rollers are doing a pretty good job holding the zones. However, a body's going to drop for a rollers match, so that's going to be a 4-on-3 situation, but they do have Beta back in the snake.
Vibe take that opportunity to spread wide. They're now into both Dorito corners. Both corners are Dorito bunkers, snake corner and Dorito corner.
And it looks like big move for Angie Tejeda here into the snake. But Beta is also going to push up into the snake 4 for or snake 3 for rollers here.
Great recognition by Angie on what was coming in, and whether nothing coming in, she just said, screw it, I'm going to go. And into the snake she goes, snake 2. Now she's going to look cross for kills.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're rollers in that situation, you want to do a little better job of keeping Angie stuck in that snake insert, you know. Beta going to push here into the snake 50 for rollers. We'll see if this...
That puts Angie in trouble here.
And here's the thing, Matt. Angie and Beta were just in this situation 5 seconds ago.
This time Angie knows. Look at her. She's put her gun up in a trap situation. She's definitely expecting a bunkering to come.
Well, and not only that, but we've got Sobe Glass here in the Snake Tower for rollers who is also applying that pressure to Angie's bunker. So Angie's definitely feeling the pressure right now, but she's got Nicole Gates over her, keeping tabs on Beta here in the Snake.
This is a little bit of a wasted gun for Angie because she's got cover fire. There's no way that Beta could get to her unshot. So Angie should just go ahead and look for something else to shoot.
I agree.
Or go bunker her herself.
Well, here's the thing, Maddie. If she goes to bunker her, we've got Sobe raining down here in the gap. So I don't know. You don't want to get a penalty there, but I think it's on Nicole to tell Angie, hey, I've got the snake 50. Look inside. We're down a body. You know what I mean? We're down in the body count. So Veda also playing it a little defensively. That's part of this snake, though, is that you're not totally sure where they're at. So you kind of have to do your best to find out, but Angie's going to do a slow crawl here.
Angie might be able to crawl the inside and do a crawling bunker of Veda, maybe.
She absolutely could, Matt. I think that is definitely plausible. I'm curious to see what's going on the Dorito side. It's kind of hard to see. I know Hadley Korsman is still alive on the Dorito side for Vibe, kind of playing on an island. It looks like there's a Dorito 1 for rollers who's going to move into the Dorito 2 just now on your screen. There is a 4th body for rollers. I'm not totally sure where that body is. I think it's Taylor Hofer. I'm just not sure where she made her way to.
Veda does not have the information. She suspects somebody either in the brick or the snake corner. There's nobody there.
Yep. Well, earlier Angie was in the snake corner, so that's the thing. If Angie can slip in undetected, then ultimately it's kind of up to Sobe or someone to find Angie. But Angie clearly, as you can see on your screen, is playing very defensively. But I don't like Angie and Nicole doing effectively the same thing right here.
Exactly. Now, I think you're more right than you know, because normally you'd see Veda wrap this bunker and start doing a lot of damage, but she doesn't trust that that corner is empty.
Yep.
So Angie's good job of sneaking into the snake unaware keeps Veda. There's nobody there to stop Veda, but she doesn't know that.
And this point slowing way down, Maddie.
Her tower has to now switch back and forth to Dorito. That does give an opportunity. Veda doesn't know it, but there's some windows of opportunity here to make something happen.
Okay, fourth body for rollers is located. Taylor Hofer is in the snake side Aztec, and she's looking cross to help protect her Dorito 2 player here. And it looks like Nicole is actually going to come off the snake side for
at the same time Angie
Vibe.
does, though. This has not been great teamwork between the two of them.
Oh, Sobi Glass moved up into the center 50, and Angie, I think, recognized. And Angie's going to get taken out by Sobi. That's tough.
Veda now getting adventurous. She's going to look for the wrap. That puts Tyson
The moment one more body drops for Vibe, they're going to have to towel this.
There it is.
Yep, so we got it. You guys have got a towel. It's Hadley left it by herself in a 1-on-4.
Yeah, we're down to 5 minutes. You were right. Good call, Jen. Towel comes in.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think Angie's going to want that one back. I think that's a communication situation there between Angie and Nicole. I mean, you could see Angie throwing her thumb up to let Nicole know she's alive, but we can't. When we're down a body, you're now putting yourself down a gun. You know what I mean? So
let's be fair to Angie, too.
Yep.
It's difficult to communicate in that situation besides that thumbs up because you've got an element of surprise. And if you start yelling out code words or instructions,
no, absolutely.
Veda's going to know. So
I absolutely agree. I think that if I'm Nicole, I think I might tell Angie, look inside for now. I've got your back. But, again, it comes down to both. I don't know if Nicole and Sobi on either side in that center tower knew exactly where the snake was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and you could tell that Veda wasn't 100% sure either. So, like I said, a little bit of whack-a-mole, a little bit of protect your neck, you know.
All right, here we go. Heroines on your left, all knotted up with the FEMMES. 10.5 on the clock. Heroines out to that D1. They're going to lose their center push, though.
Looks like
no, and they're going to lose their
alive.
Dorito. So 3 alive for Heroines. They're going to reattempt to move up to that snake tower.
They did kill a snake, so one body walking off for FEMMES here out of the snake, but they're immediately going to fill the snake with Roxy behind her. So a 4-on-3 situation in favor of the FEMMES right now.
If you're the Heroines, you at least have a decent spread here at the 2 mini temples. I'd love to get into that D1 if I'm the Heroines so I can really cross up a gun. Protect your snake tower.
Yep, and you can hear Katie Kelly yelling 34 snake 1, so she knows the body count. She knows that Roxy filled the snake, and she's going to do her best to keep Roxy at bay here. But Roxy does have Tammy right beside her in the snake side tower to help keep Daniela out of the snake here. It looks like Brooklyn Stellato playing on an island over there in the Dorito side. Aztec and Danny Rojas is going to make her fill out to the snake corner. It's a good fill for Danny to get out there and help slow this side down a little bit.
Absolutely. She might even be able to use it as an opportunity to get into the snake herself.
Yep, and Roxy's going to push here into the snake 4. So Katie's going to have to keep hunting Roxy to keep her eyes on them, but it looks like she might be getting some pressure from the Dorito side.
She's being harassed from the Dorito side. Her bunker's getting smaller and smaller by the minute. She's going to choose to crouch down, which is great for protection, but it makes it even harder to look down into the snake.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where that other body is for the
Sure
FEMMES.
enough, if Roxy can wrap this, that tower's going to die. And die she will.
Oh, hey, they traded, though.
Yeah. Oh, nice trade.
Oh,
no, there's going to be a minor.
I think they might have penalized Katie for speaking there.
You're signaling.
Katie pointed that she traded.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, hang on. Brooklyn going to move down the Dorito side. Brooklyn is going to be in a 1-on-3. Tammy, a back Dorito player, and it looks like Dallas Whitright pushing into Brooklyn's side of the Doritos. Trying to see through the net here. Yeah, we got Dallas Whitright here in Brooklyn's little. Well, she's moving into Brooklyn's Dorito, so they're 2 bunkers away from each other here.
Clock is fine. If you're the coach of the Heroines, you don't have to towel out this for time. Oh.
Yep, so it looks like Dallas going to run through and trade with Brooklyn, which is going to leave 2 bodies left alive for the FEMMES.
Now you flag it. Now you towel out. There it is.
Yeah, we still got 8.5 minutes on the clock here, and for anybody that's been watching this layout, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of really high-scoring games.
I would say, on average, the WNXL games are taking about 2.5 minutes per point. Semi-pro might be taking about 2 minutes per point, on average. Fastest point I've seen this weekend is 25 seconds.
Yeah.
So far. I haven't watched the pro field, but so.
That's about what I've seen. It's, around the 20-some seconds.
All right, so look at this game. High Rollers versus Dallas 5. High Rollers up by 1 point, right? We just talked about how long the game takes. Let's say 2.5 minutes. This becomes important because if Vibe wins this point, then who cares about the clock? But if Rollers win this point 3-1, let's say they're going to average about 2 minutes on the clock, Vibe would be down by 2 points with 2 minutes on the clock, a very difficult situation. So for Vibe, if you're a casual viewer, you're just like, yeah, whatever, 2-1, 4 minutes clock. No. If Vibe loses this point, they're in a horrible situation. So this is a must-win point for Vibe.
Yeah, and I think what Rollers have done a really good job with here is everybody knows that Vibe is a very good off-the-break shooting team. But High Rollers have really proven that they are here to hang in terms of those off-the-break shots. So they've done a really good job capitalizing on Vibe off the break. However, Vibe's done a great job pulling it back. So both of these teams definitely here to fight. Vibe's won 3 events. Rollers have made the finals once and definitely here to prove themselves after a pretty tough World Cup showing. So I think both teams definitely hungry. Vibe coming off a World Cup loss and Rollers coming off a very bad World Cup performance. So both teams really, really trying to prove themselves here. And I think it's just going to come down to who makes the least amount of mistakes.
I agree. Vibe needs to do it, though. And if they're not going to win the point, lose it fast. I know that's not great advice, but that's essentially my advice. Thanks again to one of our sponsors. It's a pod-filling device called Ball-Sack. You can go to ball-sack.com and get in on the pre-order with code NXL Tampa. All right, here we go.
Let's see how much Vibe's going to risk off the break here.
High Rollers were presenting a run-out pattern, then they switched it up. They decided to go gun heavy. They do get into D2 on the breakout.
However, Angie next takes the snake off the break while Veda elects to go short. So Vibe doing a good job taking that risk and making it alive. So they've definitely got faith in Angie to make her spot. And it looks like they might have also even taken the Dorito 1 off the break. I'm trying to see, but Rollers still electing to push the Dorito side a little bit harder off the break with Veda not stuck, but electing to stop short here in the pocket on the snake side.
She might be a little bit stuck, especially if Angie can get her gun on her. I see Veda looking out at that corner bunker. Now she's going to choose to go snake.
Yep, so Veda going to work her way, and she likes this outer snake, so
she drops
she's better be careful with her.
2 dead, however, for High Rollers in very quick succession.
Yeah, looks like that's going to be Sobe Glass and Janaea Curtis taking the walk. So, and another body dropping for Rollers. So Vibe definitely keying up on these kills here.
That leaves just the Dorito and Veda over here into the S1.
So Veda definitely just saw her players walking off the field. So I think she's aware now that she's in a low body situation, especially when she sees Janaea here.
She's in a really low body situation.
She's on her own now.
She's in a me body situation.
Yep. So if you're Vibe, you definitely want to close this point out. But
if you're the High Rollers coach, you'd say, well, we were up. We don't want to let the clock die. But really, if you're going to lose this one, the clock won't really matter.
Here comes Angie. Angie's hunting for Veda.
I think that's going to be a trade. Yeah, it's going to be a trade. Veda's going to take a walk, and now the Vibe just need to walk it in. They need to recognize and walk it in.
So, obviously, I have a headset on, but I want to hear some more communication from both teams there, especially from Vibe when they start getting those kills in that quick succession. I think it's going to be on whoever's got eyes on the snake side to start counting those bodies coming off and making sure that gets relayed, because I feel like that press could have come a little quicker. Just to preserve some time. But
I'm going to back you up on that comment, because on this field, with all that stuff going on in the middle, all the vision blockers, all the lane blockers, you tend to have teams operating as 2 separate teams up the snake side and up the Dorito side. So you really have to work hard to make sure communication is getting back and forth, east-west. North-south, not so much, but east-west, it can be tough to communicate on this particular layout.
Absolutely. All right, coming back out, we got FEMMES and the Heroines. Looks like the FEMMES are going to be up 2-1 with 8.5 minutes on the clock. Lots of penalties have occurred out here, so we'll see if we can make it to a point without a penalty.
That would be fun. Let's try that for a change.
The FEMMES with a little bit of a roster change this year. They actually picked up 3 players that came over from the Chesapeake Cheetahs, who ended up selling their spot to the Baltimore Nevermores.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a roster shakeup for the FEMMES.
I got to say, I really did enjoy watching the Cheetahs the last few years. They were one of the more aggressive attacking teams in the league. They were fun.
Yeah, FEMMES definitely reaping the benefit of that. All right, looks like Heroines are going to go heavy in the center with 2 bodies up the center at both towers. They got Danny floating here in the dead zone, trying to work her way out. FEMMES are going to have Roxy stop short here in the Snakeside Aztec, and Andrea Martinez pushing the center here for the FEMMES. So
this is weird for me to see Casey Erb at home. She's normally a good attacking player on the snake. I don't know what's going on.
Well, a lot of times, Maddie, you'll see people put their snake player in the home and then have them dip in front and go into the snake. So first body to take the walk is going to be Tata Blanco, so it's going to be a 5-on-4 situation in favor of the FEMMES, and Casey Erb's going to make her way up here into the Snakeside Tower.
So 5 alive still for FEMMES. FEMMES doing a slow push up the middle, which is unusual. All weekend they've been fast push up the middle.
Looks like another body getting a check for the Heroines, and it looks like she's getting a minor. Yep, Alicia Valdivia is going to pull a minor. It's going to pull out Krista Titus, which is only going to leave Alexis Laser and Daniela Rojas in a 2-on-5 situation.
FEMMES in the snake now is no need, because they're going to towel out of this one.
I thought that towel might be coming quick. Looks like Alicia might have had a loader hit she wasn't aware of. I told you we wouldn't make it through a point without a penalty.
Yeah, we tried. We tried so hard. The problem is these flags are reusable for the refs. If they weren't,
maybe we'd see less.
They would have to conserve them.
Yeah. So coming back into this next point. All right, we got a tie game.
This is a nail biter
with 3 minutes. So this, in a lot of tournaments, I would say this would be the point, right? But at the rate that these points are going, this might not be the point. You know what I mean? So
I don't know. So I was about to go a different direction. I think again, if this is any kind of grindy, slow point. It is a horrible situation for whoever loses it, right? Because there's a very good chance you're going to be down a point with only maybe a minute or something on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on average. Like I said, on average, they could go any way. But I do not want to be the team on the losing end of this last point.
And to that point, I think it'll be interesting to see both of these teams have, taken some risks, shots of people off the break. So it'll be interesting to see which team elects to take that risk in this point, knowing the circumstances.
Yeah, I guess you got to decide. You know what? You should probably change your risk tolerance based on the time on the clock.
Sure.
You can tell your players to take this amount of risk for this time period, and then from that forward, no, totally change our risk tolerance from there on out, especially under 60 seconds,
right.
Obviously, with majors.
Absolutely. Definitely do not want to get a major under 60 seconds, especially not in semifinals.
We've already seen how many majors so far? 2?
At least
2?
maybe 3.
And
a gross.
Maybe a gross major. You don't get many of those. Those are unicorn penalties, folks.
Well, the FEMMES definitely got one on Roxy, and then the Heroines got one on Danny. Mm-hmm. So at least 2 majors. It might have been 3.
But yeah. All right, here we go.
Looks like, let's see here. All right, let's see.
Tejada heading out to the snake insert, maybe straight into the snake, sure enough.
All right, Angie's going to take the snake off the break, and she's going to make it. Let's see, rollers are going to take the Dorito 1, but they are going to go short on the snake side. And you can see this is definitely, to me, it seems like the rollers are respecting the off-the-break shooting from the Vibe, because obviously with a weapon like Data, you got to decide whether or not you want to risk her to the snake, and they're electing not to. So I think they're trying to respect the guns here. Looks like Sobe Glass getting a check here in the snake tower. It looks like she is clean. So we're in a 5-on-5 break here.
Advantage Vibe because of their snake presence. Both teams having that tower trying to control it. Is Angie doing surgery on her gun?
I think she might be swabbing her barrel, yeah.
She might have taken a core sample on that dive in.
But Beta makes her way into the snake 1. So rollers with the snake presence, and the first body to drop is going to be Leslie Cluis out of the snake Aztec for
That
Vibe.
ref was thinking about a flag. I'm glad she got out of there when she did.
Good fill out for Corinne Baird, though, to go ahead and take that spot before rollers could pick up that zone. So looks like Angie might still be breaking paint. She's looking for a swab that she just put behind her. Yeah, it looks like she might be breaking some paint. So.
I think on that dive in, this is not a friendly diving surface, by the way. When you land out here, you land hard.
All right, Corinne's going to push up into the Dorito 1. I think rollers have 2 players in the Doritos. I can't see from this angle, but they definitely still have a back center, and Beta's here in the snake 2 for rollers.
For Vibe, you're holding on to D1, home this snake tower, the ever-important snake tower, and obviously snake 2 here for Angie. Angie's getting a little courageous, wrapping, looking for the move. There it is. She's into S2, S3.
Yep, and it looks like rollers are in Dorito 1 and 2.
Angie's going for the squeegee again. I suspect she's got broken paint in her hopper.
All right, so Beta just revealed herself to Nicole, who's calling snake 2, but Beta's going to go ahead and push her way into snake 3.
The important thing is that Angie knows that there's a threat right in front of her. Whether they got the bunker location right or not, the more important thing is Angie knows. She's going to launch. Is she going to try to go?
Beta recognized. Here we go.
She's going to launch. Clean trade. No penalty.
So
that's fine.
Angie got lucky there because Sobe definitely recognized that Angie had made that bump, and I may have shot her before she got to Beta, but they're going to call it a clean trade. Not a bad move from Angie.
That's a trade in just about every sense. Not just a trade, obviously, both you leave, but a trade in terms of value. Because honestly, they Vibe lost their snake presence while taking out the snake presence for high rollers. Maybe slightly more value for high rollers because Angie was breaking so much paint.
All right, and another body going to drop. Jesselina's going to take the walk for rollers out of the snake side corner. All right, and Matt, we're coming down to 20 seconds on the clock.
Oh, dear Lord.
So rollers still with 2 Dorito players.
This is going to time. We're going to overtime.
So, yeah, they've elected to cross it up. So he's looking Dorito away from the tower, and the Dorito players are looking this way. Looks like Corinne's trying to break it up through the center, but a little too late there. And it looks like this is going to overtime.
Well, there it is. There's frustration as you get to that 50 brick over there on the Dorito side and then don't have another 10 or 15 seconds, bite them it enough to finish that out. That is a shame. All right, Heroines in an unfamiliar position right here. Right? I think all weekend they've pretty much controlled their fate. This is the first time they're going to have to fight their way out of a hole that I can remember. If you find yourself in a mental hole, give a call to Paintball for a Purpose. They're led by one of the players you're watching on the field right now. And they're there to help anybody in the community that needs help in their personal life. And their personal life affects their paintball life. So give them a call if you want to talk, you need any help. Check them out, Paintball for a Purpose.
All right, I'm curious how Heroines are going to answer here. I think they've been previously electing to go pocket, but I'm curious if they're going to take any risks.
There's a lot of time, so we're not in desperation mode. You know, there's plenty of time. I say that. They're definitely attacking. Is that Brooklyn up the middle?
Well, they're still attacking the center. They still, reserve the wide bodies.
You're right.
But it looks like Andrea Martinez is going to push in here.
There's a minor on FEMMES, though.
We really cannot get through a point without a penalty.
It's not possible.
All right, so Alexis Laser going to push up here into the center wedge. I'm not sure if she knows that Andrea is here in front of her in the snake side wedge, but Danny's going to have to remain patient. Otherwise, she might fall into this trap here that Andrea has set. But we do have a 5-on-3 situation here in favor of the Heroines, so they're going to need to keep their composure here if they want to come back in this game.
Are Heroines aware of this presence up the middle? I'm not sure. I'm not seeing body language that tells me the Heroines know she's there.
Well, there's only 3 bodies left for FEMMES, and as soon as I say that, Roxy's going to try to make her way into this thing. She's going to get caught. Krista saying 52. She understands the situation. It looks like Danny's going to make a big move here through the center to.
That's a great trade. That's a totally worth it trade. You're way up in bodies. You just need to take out that last source of annoyance.
Yep. So I think there should be.
Yeah, just close it out.
Is there one body left on the Dorito side for FEMMES? Either way, we've got Nana Blanco here pushing up the Dorito side.
This is fate accompli.
And there's still plenty of time on the clock here, so it's not like a huge desperation moment. Obviously, they still need another one to tie, but trying to make sure that they close this one up. Yep,
just the D1, and she's about to get bunkered.
Yep. So it looks like that was the last body standing was Lisette Barnes, and Nana Blanco is going to go ahead and take her out. And it looks like Alexis Laser and Brooklyn Stellato here are still alive.
All right, well, that was exactly the point the Heroines needed. They're going to bring it back to 2-3. 6 minutes on the clock. That's a wild amount of time, so that's not even a concern.
Man, if I'm any of these teams right now, I'm just telling my players, stop getting penalties. You know, you can't ride that gray area at this point in the tournament, and maybe they aren't. You know, I'm not.
Exactly.
It's paintball. There might be things that you get caught on that may or may not have been real, but you got to do your best.
I'm going to ask you, because you spent years playing on this semi-pro field with a lot of this ref staff. Mm-hmm. What does it take to get a penalty? A minor. Let's just talk about a minor. How little does it take to get a minor penalty?
Well, do you have an hour? We could talk about that forever.
No.
But it's just it's a discretion thing, and there's certain places you get shot that you might not be aware of, and unfortunately that's just the harsh reality of it. Like Alicia got a penalty for a loader hit that she didn't see, and
yes,
there's only so much you can do. That's part of paintball, unfortunately. But you got to do everything in your power to limit that. So making sure that you don't push in too far into that gray area where it is a little bit of a risk. So again, just like every part of paintball, that's risk reward.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't always go your way.
All right, we are in overtime. Dallas 5 versus High Rollers. 5 minutes on the clock. First point wins this whole thing. Moving on to the finals.
Yep, and if you're just tuning in, the stakes here are Dallas Vibe has won 3 events in the history of the WNXL, including the very first one. Rollers have been to the finals once. Played Dallas Vibe in the finals at their finals appearance and lost. That was at the first event last year in Las Vegas.
Yep.
And then on top of that, Rollers had a really disappointing finish last year at World Cup.
Yeah,
so both
tough.
teams obviously very hungry here. And on that note, Vibe coming off a loss at World Cup. So both teams experiencing that frustration and wanting to do everything in their power to get back to that place. And, you got to fight.
Yep, 2 of the veteran teams in the league going at it for the right to play for overall first place. Do we do a consolation 3-4?
No, not for the WNXL.
So
no.
for the losers of these, they're out. They're done. They go home.
Yep. And when it comes to WNXL, there's only 3 events per year. So the first event, the third event, and the 5th event. So, when you're playing a series and you play 5 events, it's like, okay, each one might, you can always think, I've got 5. But with WNXL, there's only 3. So every single one counts, And so it's
and you get double points for World Cup, so the tension level on the World Cup is even bigger.
And a lot of times that season title does come down to just the World Cup.
Yep.
But you certainly don't want to fall too far behind.
No. Then it won't matter how well you do. We're in the men's semi-pro division. I've seen teams at the very top or even the top of it who haven't even taken first, but they can win the thing for the whole year just by sticking around in the top 5.
All right. This one's for all the marbles here between these two teams. Who's going to finals?
Overtime. Extra drama on your Sunday.
All right. And Vibe's going to risk Angie into the snake, and she's going to make it. Rollers electing to go short with Veda. It looks like Angie's going to get a check. Is Angie
they're
going
to get pulled. No penalty. There is a penalty.
This is a terrible break for Vibe.
I think she was hit on the pack. Again, didn't know it, but that doesn't matter.
But they kill Veda on the bump into the snake, so it's a 3-on-4 situation in favor of Rollers.
That's salvageable for Vibe. Vibe now spreading back out to this mini temple. Gives them an opportunity to get into the snake if they want to take the risk.
Yeah, we have a little bit of an island drill. So Corinne Baird going to move out here to the snake side behind Michaela Wilkins, and they're going to have 2 bodies this way, while Rollers are essentially limited to the pocket here on the snake side with Sobe Glass in this tower. And
Corinne wants snake. No, she's going to go to the corner instead.
I don't hate it. I don't hate that move.
As long as you're not the last one there, that is an awful bunker to survive. Down bodies.
But
get out of there soon.
It looks like on that move, Just Selena is going to make her way from the home out into the snake insert, and they're going to capitalize on that kill on Corinne there.
Baby Dorito unfortunately led to the death.
No, Maddie, another body dropping off the Dorito side for Rollers. It's a 3-on-2 situation here in favor of Rollers.
Still salvageable.
One more gunfight win for Vibe, and they can bring this back. We've got Leslie Cluis and Michaela Wilkins, 2 veterans here in the WNXL. Leslie Cluis coming back from a year off. She had a kid, and she's back here, and she's ready to roll. So,
to me, the most important thing is, can Wilkins stop a move up that Dorito side? If they get to that Dorito brick, it's all over. And she's going to lose. Actually, they're going to lose her.
It's just going to leave Leslie here on her own.
Yeah, she's going to come up with something here, somewhat of a miracle. I wouldn't mind seeing a drop back. There it is.
I like it. I like that move. Looks like Juscelina's going to move here into the snake for Rollers. They still have Sobe Glass in the center. And it looks like a Dorito 1 for Rollers as well. So they're just going to need to take their... Sobe making a big move through the center. I was going to say they need to take their time. Closing it out.
That's it. And with that, Vibe's hope will die.
Yep.
High Rollers are going to take this one. They just need to figure out that they're all alone on the field.
And they need to hang the buzzer or hit the buzzer clean.
3 minutes on the clock.
Looks
there
like
it is.
Sobe's going to make sure she gets checked. Sobe's yelling 500, guys. We killed them all.
She's yelling it in the style of "This is Sparta," though.
Yeah. She's like, "Hey guys, please don't shoot me."
Asking for her teammates to check her out. That's the right thing to do. There it is. Congratulations to the High Rollers, assuming that she's clean. They have just punched their tickets to the finals.
And it looks like
there
it is clean. So Rollers getting the very long-awaited revenge on Vibe.
Look at their pit. Great work. Congrats, Allie. Congrats, all the girls. Veda. Well done. Well deserved.
Yep, and that's going to put this other game into X-Ball with 6 minutes on the clock. So we'll see what happens here. Looks like Heroines are down by 1 with 5:57. But, yeah, that's the story right there, Matt. Like I said, last year, Rollers' very first appearance in finals, they went up against Vibe. And I've heard from them, this is not my opinion, I've heard from them that they thought that they fumbled, that they threw it away. And so they face off against Vibe here a year later and doing everything that they can to get that one back. So congrats to High Rollers on that victory.
All right, here we go. Femmes on your left, Heroines on your right. Plenty of time in this game, no matter what. Femmes choose to double up that snake tower. That is super dangerous.
And that can get very tight, Matt. So that's a very interesting choice here.
Super dangerous.
But it looks like both teams really still electing to go pocket. I don't think Heroines sent anyone wide.
I'd like to think for the Femmes, they're just using it as a staging area to bounce up into that middle. Do not stay doubled up at that snake tower for long.
Yep, both teams
and
going
that's
pocket.
It.
Yep,
They're
and
the first player.
Yep, first body drops going to be Casey Erb out of that center tower she was sharing with Tammy Adamson. But it looks like Mercedes is going to get out into the Dorito 1 for oh goodness gracious. Okay, we had a big move here.
That's a wasted body. That's so unfortunate. They were certain there was somebody in the 50. There was not.
Yes.
Threw her life away.
It looks like Alexis got some bad intel and went to bunker someone that wasn't there. So
well, they've been there pretty consistently.
Yes, they have.
It wasn't a horrible guess.
And Matt, I think it's because they sent 2 bodies right through there. So I think that was part of the problem is they saw those 2 bodies go up and assumed based on previous behaviors that there was going to be somebody in that wedge. There was not, and another body's going to take the walk for Femmes as well.
That just leaves 2 alive. Tammy in the middle. She needs some magic here from their snake player. Needs to do a lot of damage real quick. Tammy's going to move up. somehow survives that exchange.
Looks like a ref's going to come in and check her, though, Matt.
Yeah,
she
no
needs
penalty,
to be really
no
careful
penalty,
here.
no
Oh,
penalty.
goodness. Two bodies dropped for Heroines.
Wow.
3 bodies dropped for Heroines.
Wow. Rolling defense.
Oh, wait.
No.
So I think it's a one-on-one, Matt.
Okay.
Okay, I think we've got Nana Blanco in the Dorito 1 against Roxy Montano here in her own Snake 2, who is clean. So I think we are in a one-on-one, Matt. Man, bodies for Heroines dropping like flies there. Krista, Danny, and Brooklyn all coming off. Nana pushing up the Dorito side. Nana does not know the body count. And I don't know if Roxy does either. Roxy going to backtrack.
No, I think she does now. She's dropped back to the Dorito 3. She's looking cross.
I don't think Nana knows the body count, though, because...
No, not the body count.
Here's the thing. When you're playing the Dorito side, the Snake side being the pit side... Wait, Roxy getting a check again. Oh, they're calling her out. They're calling Roxy out. And a minor penalty, Matt.
Oh, that is brutal.
All right, so Nana playing the lone survivor there.
She was 20 feet from the buzzer. That was a huge opportunity, and instead it goes completely the other direction. They're not only going to lose the point, they're going to start down a body.
Yep, they'll start down a body, and Heroines will tie it up. Man, that was some chaos. I'm going to go try to see if I can hear the...
Yeah, probably now is the time to do it.
I'm going to go see if I can get some word on this this penalty, Matt.
Go
right back.
right ahead. All right, we got a little bit of downtime. I'm going to take a moment to mention one of our sponsors. That's Ballsack at ball-sack.com. They're coming out with their version 2.0 pod filler. I have it in my hand. I have a model. I have one of the few ones left. The rest of them are sold out. Find me, defeat me. You get to take this from me. This is their pod filler. Really nice slide open mechanism. Well, I lost company. Can hold up to a case of paint. Waterproof. Can roll. Can hang off the top of the tent. Mostly one of the things I really love about this fact is that I can pack it down and actually put it in a suitcase, which caddies really can't do. So if you have an opportunity, go to ball-sack.com, jump on their website, and you can pre-order with a 10% discount. NXL Tampa. We have Jen trying to spy on the reffing situation, find out what's going on.
All right, so it looks like Roxy Montano, that was in the Snake there for the FEMMES, may have had some paint on a pod that was in her pack, and I think they're reviewing it now to see if the penalty will stand. We have our head referee over here looking at the review. But they're saying it possibly could have been rub. They're not 100% sure. Obviously, FEMMES pleading their case. But this match is an X-ball, so they are at least getting this opportunity to take a breather, recompose, figure out their next game plan. So either the FEMMES will be starting down one, or I'm not totally sure.
Wait. You're not accusing the coach of using this as a stalling tactic.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. Listen. The stakes are too high to even be thinking, that hard about, that when you're just trying to win the point.
That would be innovative. You know what? A really smart coach might do that, and that challenge some kind of situation. Really is a stalling tactic. It's a free timeout.
Yep.
It's essentially a free timeout. Oh
Yep.
God, what can of worms
and
have
here's
I
the
just
thing.
opened?
I don't know what you do in the situation where, if they overturn that, do they make Nana Blanco and Roxy play a one-on-one?
Yes.
Is that how we're going to handle that? You know what I mean? So
they've already done that earlier this weekend.
They have. Okay.
Yeah, Siricatos and Vibe, if I'm not mistaken. We had a stoppage in play. They reviewed the footage. They went back. They had thrown a flag and pulled the wrong bodies. And the refs admitted it. To their credit, the refs on this field will go, yeah, we screwed up. We're going to try to do our best to make it right. They put bodies back on the field in the correct bunkers.
Interesting.
And restarted the clock at the time.
Interesting.
They will do that. It's very interesting because you never see that from ref staff.
Right.
The majority of ref staffs will just go, yeah, we didn't make a mistake. Too bad. Moving on. But these guys will fix it.
Yeah. Looks like both coaches heading over to figure out what's going on here. It looks like head referee is still reviewing it. Mm-hmm. Our ultimate referee, I should say. The referee, with the ultimate say, is reviewing it now.
Our head ref is the Scottish man, Jason. He's up on the ladder here looking down on the field. Our ultimate is Mikael. He's in the gray with the yellow trim shirt. We're going to get a sideline camera here of the exchange. You know what I've been impressed by this weekend? Maybe nobody else cares, but I care. All these controversies and stuff involving the refs, I haven't seen any super angered coaches. The coaches are acting very calm and professional this weekend. I haven't seen a clipboard being broken over a knee. I haven't seen a folding chair being thrown at a ref. None of that. No screaming.
Yeah, as soon as you say that, we got Big Dan here, coach for the Femme Fatale, pleading his player's case.
Yeah,
and that's what you'd expect from any coach, you know.
Right, he's pleading it, but it's respectful. He's not being
for
crazy
sure.
about
Hey,
it.
Big Dan's very respectful. You know, he keeps it respectful.
God, how is he not hot in all that clothing?
I know.
Now?
Hey, you gotta keep yourself covered from the sun out here.
Yeah, and by the way, we did get lucky in the weather this weekend. This
Absolutely.
could be way, way hotter. I can tell you from coming from New Hampshire.
Okay.
We have been in sub 20-degree weather for months and months.
You know what's
now.
crazy is, so I'm from North Carolina, and if you couldn't tell people at home by my lovely southern accent we got here, but yeah, so for us in this time of year, it's typically like 40, maybe even hitting 50. It's been like 30s, 20s for us, which is very unusual. So definitely, coming down here to Tampa, I even expected it to be hotter, and it's
not that bad.
As long as you're in the shade, there's a breeze. It's not too bad.
Yeah, good work by NXL arranging the weather to work out for this weekend. All right, so what do we got? Point approved. It looks like we're tied
they
up.
did give the point to the Heroines. It's going to be a tie game with 3:43, and we're going to see how many bodies come out here for the Femmes. And we're an X ball, so that might change the pace of the game a little bit. Let's see. I see Lisette Barnes, Casey Erb. I see Roxy Montano. And for the Heroines, I see Katie Kelly, both Blanco sisters, Alexis Laser, and let's see, Danny Rojas. All right, the last body, it looks like Femmes are going to start with 4. Matt and Tammy Adamson's going to go ahead and jump in there with them. And the Heroines will be 1 body up going into this point.
There is 3 minutes, 43 seconds on the clock. That's enough time for probably even 3 points on this. 2 is likely, 3 is a maybe.
Well, this is the situation for the Heroines where you obviously want to capitalize on the body advantage, but you don't want to be too quick about it and make any mental mistakes while trying to capitalize on the advantage. So Heroines will need to maintain their composure here, and I think the Femmes are really going to have to try to do their best to capitalize on an off-the-break shot here.
Yeah, I agree. That's their best chance of taking a point easily is some off-the-break kills.
That being said, looking at this line here, Barnes and Erb coming over from the Cheetahs, they are both typically attackers, maybe 2s, and then Roxy obviously being a 1. This looks like a little bit of aggressive line potentially with Tammy maybe pushing the center and Tammy looking for that off-the-break kill. But I would not be surprised to see them try to do a little rope-a-dope possibly here.
So Femmes have actually been more conservative in the playoffs than I watched them all weekend.
Okay.
All weekend they were taking 50, these standing wedges in the 50 off the break. They were very, very aggressive. They've pulled it back slightly. Maybe it's time to re-engage that plan.
Looks like Heroine's going to go pocket again. And a body going to drop for Femmes, Matt. The Roxy was going to risk it to the snake, and they did capitalize on that kill.
No push up the middle there for the Femmes. Very conservative.
So now if you're Heroines, you're in a 5-on-3, and you want to make sure you obviously maintain your composure, don't make any silly moves. And I'd be curious to see when the situation gets dire enough to potentially see a towel, even if it's, a 5-on-3.
Right.
Because you got to think forward, and the Femmes have proven that they are able to win quick points out here. So we might see a towel here in the next 30 seconds just to preserve time, especially because the Femmes are doubled here in the back center with Tammy and Casey here. And it's going to be tough to get out of there.
Heroines lose one of their home players, though.
Yeah, that's a tough death for Katie Kelly there. I think she was doubled in the back center with Danny Rojas. So it's going to be a...
There it is. There's the towel you predicted.
Okay. So I'm curious...
Wow, that was maybe a little bit over-aggressive of a towel. I don't think their situation was that dire. Perhaps you and I didn't see a player dying over the Dorito. But as far as I saw, it was
a 4-on-3.
Yeah, that was a little bit early for a towel. I do like coaches thinking into the future and preserving time.
That being said, we've seen points slow down when it does become a 4-on-3, 3-on-3. So maybe, I think, perhaps the Femmes and Dan, saw an opportunity to maybe let's play more points. More points equals higher likelihood that we can capitalize on those off-the-break kills, that we can push the center, which has been something they've liked to do for years. So I don't hate the call. I think it might have been something I would have let ride for maybe 20 more seconds. because, then you'd be at 2.5. And I think that even if they lost that point, they would only be down 1 with 2.5. So,
especially with the way penalties are flying here, just being up by a body does not guarantee you're going to win that point.
Absolutely.
So maybe a little bit premature. I'm going to play the if game right now.
Okay.
If FEMMES end up losing this match, I think the conversation after the tournament is over is we quit doing what we did all prelims, which was moving up to the 50s almost on the break every time. We did a lot of damage with that. We controlled the tape lines. They seem to have abandoned that here on Sunday, and it's not really working against the Heroines.
Yeah, the only time it worked was when they sent Andrea up to that snake side wedge twice. Then the third point, they decided to double that snake tower and ultimately kind of do a little mind game with the Heroines where they run through and, well, they did because Alexis tried to come through and bunker no one, and then, but then they ended up getting pinched out of the tower. So I like the idea of like Uno reverse card.
I've seen,
but
at least it's not a +4. You're a horrible person if you play that. No, I've seen at times the FEMMES doubling up the 50 on the breakout. Both stand-up wedges. They've been far more aggressive on their middle upfield pushes during the prelims than they are today. This is not a train wreck. They're down by 1 point with 2:50 on the clock.
Well, you're always going to ask yourself,
what could have been?
What could I have done differently, right? And so, and don't get it confused, people. There's 2 minutes and 50 seconds, and they're only done by 1. We are not saying the FEMMES have lost this game by any means, because at the beginning, they were getting kills off the break. And I think that's a big thing. And also, to your point about doubling the center, the Heroines have been electing to go pocket, which ultimately opens up that center a little more, because then you don't have anyone wide shooting the gut, right?
Heroines just sent out their fastest pod runner to give their players a little bit of extra paint.
Nana Blanco.
Wow.
Front Dorito extraordinaire and front extraordinaire pod runner.
That was an amazing run both ways, delivering pods and getting safely off the field. I'm sorry I interrupted, but that was
no. When I saw her coming
run.
off, I thought, did they accidentally send 6 people?
No. She did the did the Amazon Prime delivery.
So to your point, Matt, it looks like FEMMES are going to go with Tammy and Andrea, which could potentially indicate they are going to do that double center. So I'll be curious to see what they elect to do here with 2:50 on the clock.
Heroines might be a little bit gun-shy, sending a body to trade out when they've already tried that and it didn't work. So this might be the time to go ahead and double it up. Here we go.
Interesting. Okay.
There it is. There's
great off-the-break shooting there. I don't know who that was that got that first kill.
We lost
another
a
body going to drop.
Okay, that was maybe too aggressive. I wasn't advocating for that.
All right, so we're 4-on-3. 2 bodies dropping for the FEMMES, 1 body dropping for the Heroines. Casey Erb going to push here into the snake for the FEMMES.
You know what? Heroines don't have a good way to stop her. Casey should just keep going. If she drops low, well, now the tower gets back onto Casey.
Yep, so if you're Alexis here, you're going to do everything in your power to stop Casey Erb from crawling around this snake too. She also has Danny putting pressure here on the snake, as well as Krista Titus in the back center, which makes me ask the question, who is looking Dorito away for the Heroines? It looks like Krista Titus just switched. Oh, okay, we have Brooklyn Stellato also in the home. And it looks like...
penalty on the Heroines. There's another minor.
Goodness gracious.
We cannot get through a game without a minor.
Okay, so Danny's still alive, and it looks like Alexis is going to take the
tower
wall.
going. It's all falling apart. FEMMES have this.
Lots of penalties here. It looks like that's going to be everybody.
That was a complete collapse.
Goodness gracious, that was a very strange turn of the tides.
Yeah, honestly, FEMMES took a little bit too much risk on the beginning, and they lost a body they didn't need to, and then penalties just completely upended that situation.
Yeah, that's a really tough situation for the Heroines.
Okay.
They had the control, they had the control. There was only a minute and some, a minute and 45 maybe at that time on the clock, and that's definitely that. The flags are flying out here, folks. It is no joke. Don't can't take that lightly. It's tough.
All right, 4-4, a minute 37 on the clock. I would not be shocked to see this go to overtime, to be really honest. Well, a minute 37 is enough to win, but you're going to have to take risks to make that win. And with these flags throwing laundry like these refs throwing laundry like the way they are, I'm not sure this is the field to take a lot of risks on the run out.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, I know we're not in overtime yet, but we did see Rollers and Vibe go to overtime in this split deck match. And Vibe elected to take snake off break. Thought she made it, ended up drawing the penalty. So, it's one of those things where you kind of have availability bias and you wonder maybe that's not such a good risk in overtime. So I'm curious to see if people go ahead and try to take the risk now. But at the same time, Matt, this layout has moved so fast that 137 is not You know,
No.
that's plenty. That's
Yeah.
plenty. Especially if you do kill that snake off the break and then you push that snake side center wedge to lock it off. You can end that point kind of quick.
So thinking about what we've seen this weekend on this particular layout, I think you can get to the 50 Dorito faster than you can get to the Snake 50. However, the Snake 50 you can do more quick damage from than the Dorito. You have to work a little bit more from the Dorito side. So do you as a coach roll the gamble to get to the safer 50, which is the Dorito, but then it's going to slow down a little bit trying to get the kills? Or do you roll the dice to get to the Snake 50, which is harder to get to, but gets more kills?
If I know anything about the Heroines, is that they don't play for overtime. They're going to want to win. They're going to want to win the match. They're going to want to win the point. And quite frankly, they have the personnel to do it. They have, both Blanco sisters, Daniela Rojas, like Brooklyn Salado. They've got, athletes on this team that have the athleticism. But FEMMES just stacked their lines with athletes as well. So anything's possible here, but I would not be surprised to see a risk potentially on one side for the Heroines.
Here we go. 4-4, minute 37 on the clock.
All right, so FEMMES risked the snake with Casey. It looks like she's going to get a check.
Ooh,
is she clean? She is not.
Big check.
Huge off-the-break kill there. I think that was Daniela Rojas calling the kill, but Alexis Laser going to drop. So it's a 4-on-4 situation here.
The odds of it going to overtime just spiked with those two kills.
The FEMMES just pushing to the snake, Matt. Roxy Montano crawling here into the snake.
And you know what? Heroines don't have any gun in position to really, really stop her.
That's
she just has to get through this gap, and then she can wrap it and do a ton of damage.
Tata acting like she wants to go.
Yep. Tata's going to jump out to that corner. That can help slow down Roxy.
Here comes big move from Danny up into that snake side tower.
60 seconds.
We're at 1 minute. Heroines still in the pocket on the Dorito side, and I believe the FEMMES are as well. Roxy Montano pushing here into the snake 4. Is she going to get the drop on Danny or Krista?
She needs to wrap. She can do. There it is. 1 kill. 2 kills.
So Danny and Roxy are going to trade. That's going to leave both Blanco sisters with 42 seconds, Matt. This could be the point.
I'm not sure I like this, Chris.
Big move from Tata here into the snake 50. Tata's making a huge risk.
Oh, she doesn't know.
Gracious.
She doesn't know. Is that Tammy?
Uh-oh, here we go.
Oh, she's reloading. This is the worst time to reload. She gets hit on the knee. Well, oh, my God. This can happen.
Gracious.
20 seconds.
Oh, Tammy just got shot by Nana.
That's going to be a major.
But I think
that's going to be a major. No, well, at least a minor.
11 seconds.
No, this is chaos.
11 seconds, Matt. Oh, goodness gracious. This is going to go under major review, Matt, I fear.
Oh, there's no question. This is going to be a major. This is chaos.
So
the question is, was the Blanco sister hit? There's a little confusion whether she was hit or not. She chose to bring her gun back up after what I believe she was told she was hit.
I think one ref that came in to check her told her, like the one that actually came in, I think spoke to her and maybe said she was clean. Our head referee up on the ladder was giving the signal.
Right.
So I either there was a misunderstanding from Tata Blanco or there was a miscommunication between the two referees, right?
You know what? In the end, it doesn't matter if she in fact has a hit on her. Even if a ref came in and said you're clean, that is not. We don't. That's not like you've been declared ineligible for prosecution. A lot of players. Right, no, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just explaining my what I see. So. She could have done nothing wrong in the sense of I thought I was told I was clean, and she's not trying to cheat. But if she did have a hit on her, and Jason, our head ref, saw it, the penalty will definitely apply to her, and I think it's going to be a major.
And it's a situation here where, so with our head referee up on the ladder signaling, the referee that was on the sidelines in the yellow, when he came in to check, I don't think he saw the referee in the ladder pointing
calling her out.
That he was calling. So when he went in to check to do his job. If he verbally said to Tata, I understand, but if he says you're clean, if I'm Tata, the referee in my face just told me that I was clean. And yes, his boss is up on the ladder, but Tata doesn't have eyes in the back of her head. So it's one of those situations where in the moment, I don't think Tata, quote unquote, did the wrong thing. If the referee in her face said you're clean. But like you said, if she's hit, it doesn't matter. But it begs that question: is how do we assess that in a situation where
it doesn't feel fair? But in the end, if you have a hit on you and she spun her gun and shot, I think that was Tammy.
No, she didn't though. So hang on, Matt. So Tata not tall enough to shoot over. When she came back towards her own side.
No knock on you, but it's true.
Yeah. So when she came back to shoot at Tammy on her own side, Nana Blanco, 2 Blanco sisters, y'all. There's 2 of them. Tata's on the snake side. Nana is on sisters.
Weapons grade Blanco sisters being unleashed on the field.
So Nana was on our Dorito side and had turned and shot Tammy on the inside. Is what I saw from right here in front of us now. Maybe after the fact, Tata also shot her, but I believe Tammy was shot by Nana Blanco on the cross before Tata actually pulled her gun back up. I'm not saying Tata shouldn't be penalized.
Right.
But that's what I think broke down. So I think if they give the minor to Tata because she shot her gun but she did not shoot anyone, then it would pull Nana Blanco, which would leave us in a no point, I think. So that's my assessment of
Ladies
this
and
play.
gentlemen of the jury.
I'm not a lawyer.
I'm from the fine state of North Carolina. My client was falsely accused. Now, that is chaos there. I mean, you know what? We're playing that, well, I don't know if you know Japanese films, the Kurosawa Seven Samurai. Anyways, there are so many different points of view out here, and everybody thinks that they saw the matter in its entirety. I think almost nobody fully saw the matter in entirety. There are so many things to be looking at in such a short space of time, people running through. It's really easy to get a fragmentary picture of what just happened.
Yeah, so Tata is saying the guy in front of her said there was nothing on me. And so that's why. And here's the thing.
Again, she could be right.
I've been in her position before where when she makes that decision to pull her gun up, in order to do that, look, let's say this. Let's say Tata was shot and she knew. And even if she knew and the ref called her clean, if you know you're shot, you're not going to take that risk. But I think that's what tells me that I think that she was so sure based on what she felt and the ref telling her that she was clean, that she felt confident enough to do it, is what I'm saying.
I agree, and I think we both agree. We're talking about slightly two separate things here.
Yep.
Was she trying to cheat? No, I think I'm with you. I'm not really arguing that. But if she had a hit on her, even if a ref mistakenly called her clean, and here's the thing. What do you call it? Foreknowledge or the player knowing obvious hit. None of that matters anymore under the rules. The truth is a hit is a hit regardless of whether you knew it or not. So I think there's still a risk of here that she was honestly trying to play clean.
Clean, yeah.
The ref said you're clean. She went, great, I'm clean, and she might still get a penalty anyways.
But to that point, in what you're saying here, if that is the case, when she continued to shoot, she did not shoot anyone. So I don't think I personally, in the rule book, I don't think she can get a major. You see what I'm saying? I think she can get a minor because she did not shoot Tammy. Nana Blanco shot Tammy. And I think if they review the angle that we had here, I think you'll see that. That
is where I think impressions. Again, it was all happening in chaos.
Sure, totally.
I saw her spin her gun and shoot Tammy. Tammy's on the way to hit the buzzer. And if that's the case, it's a major.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
100%. And that's why, because I thought that Tammy was going to go hit the buzzer because Nana was heads up on the other side, and then all of a sudden she got shot. So I was like, I don't think, because at the time that Tata pulled her gun back up, the refs are all yelling, wait, we called her out. And then I think Tata brought her gun down, and I think that was when Nana had heard the chaos and turned and shot Tammy, I think. Now, my memory is starting to fade, y'all. It's been about 20 minutes since that occurred.
Do I have a concussion? Because I don't know what just happened.
But ultimately, at least on this field, we have video, and they can take a look as best they can to determine But again, I'm curious how they're going to assess it.
Yeah.
Even if they determine that she was hit, it looks like Nana Blanco is still sitting in the shade out there.
Oh my God, you're right.
Hang on, there's a FEMMES player on the field.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that player was still alive and Nana went around her while she was looking inside. I'm not totally sure. That we can't see because that's the Dorito side, and we're sitting over here on the Snake side. See Tammy Adamson on your screen.
Tammy
here.
hasn't even.
She's ready to go.
She hasn't even taken her goggles off.
Tammy is ready to go. I've got nothing but respect for Tammy Adamson. She's a fighter. She's been leading this charge for a long time. She's doing it. And she's carrying this team. And shout out Tammy. She's doing a great job.
The ref's like, what was your view of it?
Yeah.
What do you think happened?
What did you have for lunch today?
We're collecting evidence here for a trial that's upcoming.
How fast can you run the 40-yard dash?
Yeah, you did great pod delivery here a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, right? Nana Blanco, a woman of many talents. She's a pistol for sure. All right, we got both coaches here with our ultimate referee discussing the situation. Matt, I think I'm going to go stick my ear.
Yeah, sneak in there.
All right.
What do you got?
Matt,
What do you got?
We have a point approved for the FEMMES.
Oh.
And
Okay.
the Heroines will be starting down a body, so it looks like they did change
even worse.
the penalty on Tata to a major penalty, which would have pulled her sister Nana Blanco as well as an additional body that they did not have to serve that penalty. So the Heroines will be starting down a body, and they will be down a point. The point is approved for FEMMES. It looks like the Heroines organization might be challenging it even further.
I'm not sure they can. We've already gone through that process. I love Laurie, but I don't think she's going to get anywhere with this complaint. I think she's saying, I'm not going to sign the score sheet. I don't think it matters much.
Yeah, I think she was asking for a referee above our referee here, our ultimate referee.
So this field is unusual in that we're assigned an ultimate. Most of the rest, my understanding is most of the rest of fields don't get their own ultimate.
They do not. That's correct. So it looks like
this is great drama.
It's
This is great for ratings.
These matches have been full of penalties, and also, I want to. It looks like we do get an extra 10 seconds on the clock, Matt. So we're going to have 19 seconds on the clock for the Heroines to try to put something together with 4 bodies. The break clock is counting down. However, no Heroines have entered the field yet. The FEMMES are on the box, ready to go. And
you know what? If you're the Heroines, realistically, a 19-second point is next to impossible.
You have to get off the break kills.
Yeah, so I think the Heroines may not take the field almost out of protest, and they're going to say, "Look, we probably can't win a 19-second point."
No, I do not think that Anthony Vitale will do that. I think he'll send 4 folks out there. I'd send a heavy shooter.
They might still have a timeout. He might wait until the 20-second mark and call a timeout.
So there's 40 seconds on the break clock. Referees are in position. It looks like the coach for the FEMMES is running out on the field. They did stop the break clock.
So she's making the same argument. I was called clean, and I think she's correct in that she was called clean, but in the end it doesn't really matter.
Right, but I think the question, Matt, though, is how do we approach that conversation when it comes to referees, right? Because you have 2 conflicting information. So ultimately, Tata, had she been called out when she was hit?
Yeah.
If there had been an agreement between both our head referee on the ladder and our yellow referee that went in to check her, because the yellow referee calls her clean, Tata makes a decision based off of that, even though it was the wrong call from the referee if she was hit, right?
Yeah.
So when do we start having conversations about how we can correct that? You know what I mean? And I have nothing but respect for referees. It is a very, very hard job.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Tata made a playing decision based off of words that were said to her.
Yeah.
So it's a complicated discussion when it comes to paintball as a sport. This is not isolated to the situation with Tata Blanca. This is something you see on the pro field. This is something you see everywhere, and I think it's just part of our sport that we have to figure out how do we approach that discussion.
Can I make an observation?
Absolutely.
Though? You and I watch, Major League Baseball or football or whatever. I suspect this kind of stuff goes on there too, but they never pull the veil back like we do in paintball. There are bad calls, and I'm not trying to just defend the rest. There are bad calls in all the sports, and at some point they just can't get it all right, and they say we're not going to show it to the public, and we're going to move on. The fact that we are such an intimate sport that you can be on the sidelines, in on the refs' conversations, is very different from most sports. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't get it right or we shouldn't do better, but it may not be as bad as we think.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, they got 19 seconds. They got a heavy gun, Katie Kelly, and it looks like they're gonna stop the clock again.
They're gonna stop the clock again.
I was gonna say it looks like they do have a heavy gun. Katie Kelly out there who very, very well could get it off the break. She also likes to push the center, so I'm curious if they're going to try to do a push from every direction because they also have Nana Blanco, Alicia Valdivia, and Danny Rojas as well.
So I'm just gonna talk. Let's see, how do we want to phrase this? Rule theory, right? Rule theory of paintball. Ignore the situation. Take the situation emotionally. So what I'm going to say, it doesn't mean to reflect on this because I've been in it before. We made a change in the way that we run rules in this particular sport a while back to remove intent, remove knowledge from a penalty. Meaning, for a long time it was, I think that player knew they were hit, so they get an extra special penalty because they knew they were hit. We said, look, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to get rid of obvious versus inobvious hits. It doesn't matter. The truth is, if a player is, let's say, a hopper hit, and they have no knowledge of it, they're not trying to cheat. Not that they never did try to cheat, but they're not trying to cheat in this theoretical situation.
Right.
We're going to take it out of the equation, and we're just going to go ahead and apply the penalty, which I think was the best thing to do. That said, it does apply to this situation, which I think we've agreed. We've reached that agreement. That is not fair that a ref said you're clean and that she kept playing on and then she getting a penalty for it. It sucks. It's awful. But because we remove that intent, that's the same time a hit is a hit. What I'm saying is, if we remove intent, a hit is a hit, regardless of whether you know it or not. If a ref calling you clean doesn't give you a magic pass that you can play on with a hit.
Yes, but the ref calling you clean is what makes you make your next decision. So the penalty was assessed because Tata continued to play.
I agree. That's the part where I'm saying it's not fair.
Right.
But in the end, the rules don't care much about fair. I'm going to
then
sound
we
like
need to address the rules.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like I'm picking a side here. I'm not picking a side here.
No, and I'm not either. That's why I have absolutely nothing but respect for the FEMMES. The FEMMES have never been to the finals. This is going to be a great look for the FEMMES organization if they are to, walk away here with this victory. It's unfortunate for the Heroines. And listen, I am remaining unbiased. That could have been a role reverse, and I think we have to address the situation where someone calls you clean and another person calls you out because you make a decision based on what you're told.
So I'll reveal my bias. My bias is not so much FEMMES versus Heroines. I don't care so much. My bias was many, many years spent reffing.
Sure.
And this situation came up a lot. A ref would come in from one angle, call the all clear. A ref from a different angle saw a pack hit. That player gets up, goes and bunkers another dude, and then he gets a major instead of a minor. He goes, that's not fair. I was told I was clean. Every single time. Basically the way the rules are structured says it doesn't matter if one ref called you clean. I know it's not fair, and that you did get screwed up by it, but it would be worse. It would actually be worse for the sport if a player was allowed to get a free pass just because a ref made a bad call.
But I guess my question, Matt, is like how do we improve the discrepancy between the two refs? Right? Because here, let's take basketball, and we got time to kill here. So let's take. I've been watching a ton of basketball lately, right? So as soon as a foul is assessed, the clock stops. But in paintball, unless it's an under 60-second, So it's not like, let's say in basketball, one person calls a foul on you, the other one hypothetically doesn't, and you continue to play, and then you make that basket, and let's say that basket's a penalty. That's where our sport differs.
I can answer I can answer that question because I've pondered this too. We've had conversations with ref staffs. You know how you could fix that so you get perfect calling? You need about 30 refs on the field.
For sure.
And I know that sounds like I'm just being sarcastic.
No, you're right, though.
But here's what it is. Every single player, we need a ref capable of seeing both sides of them, being close enough, which means a lot more refs in the middle to be close enough to jump in and stop a play before it goes any further. You would need so many refs out there. The other thing, and this is a technology fix, this is Dreamland technology fix, we're all using guns, most that are capable of RFID or Bluetooth control. It's been theorized at some point in the future, you're going to have refs with basically remote controls. They see you with a hopper hit from across field, and bam, they shut your gun off. That would be awesome. And technology-wise, it's really not that far off. We could do that. Everybody would have to accept a certain board in their gun to do it.
Yeah, and you'd also have to be aware of any technological issues because if someone hits a button that they didn't mean to, or if a button inadvertently happens and someone's gun stops working, that could be very, very problematic. I like the idea. I like the idea.
Maybe two refs with keys, they have to turn at the same time. Dramatic Hollywood
Or you need
style.
two. It's like on what was it? America's Got Talent, where you need like two X's in order to remember. No, I'm just kidding. But it looks like we did get Dan Perez, our super referee.
So I'll talk NFL all the time. I watch a lot of NFL.
Yeah.
We're in the shadow of Raymond James Stadium, home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have a fan of gotten to the point where I see what I consider to be bad calls, and I'm not advocating for this.
No, absolutely.
And the refs go, oh man, we and you know what happens next call? A phantom call that goes the other way.
Yeah.
There are makeup calls in the NFL at least once a game, and it's the best way that the refs can kind of like nudge the scales of justice back.
And unfortunately, at this point, it's at the very, very end. So it's just one of those things where, it is what it is. But
I'm giving an interesting anecdote to fill time.
Right?
It doesn't
absolutely.
It doesn't apply to this situation.
But it just goes back to this is what makes paintball different, right? And we don't have these solutions for every single one of these situations. But it's just really unfortunate that. And like our head referee, I overheard him, tell him that he trusts his refs, right? But and that's the thing is you've got one ref calling one thing and another one, and I'm not saying that either of them are wrong in what they're saying, but that's the human nature of it, right? Is one says you're clean because that's what he believes, and another one says you're out, but it's like
I think they're pulling the teams off the field.
I think they're reviewing the footage again, and I think are they? Yeah, I think they're going to review some additional footage. I did overhear that they only had one angle. I'm not sure if that's true. I just heard that.
So let me say another big picture thing. I've been on a lot of reffing staffs in a lot of different situations, including NXL, including regional leagues. 99% of ref staffs, when they make a mistake, will never, ever admit to it.
Right.
They'll just say, no, that was the right call. We're moving on. I don't want to hear it. We're moving on.
And ultimately,
so this ref crew, in a way, they expose themselves to more complaints by being willing to say, okay, look, we're going to take a timeout and try to figure out and get it right. Mm-hmm. And it actually makes them look worse. I think if you watch a lot of paintball, there's calls like this that happen. And I'm not even sure this call is totally wrong, but there's calls like this happen that you're not even aware of as a viewer because the ref staff would never dare admit fault, and they just roll it on. So that's not much of a defense of this situation.
Yeah, and it goes back to the two refs called different things. So someone is wrong, and someone was right. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a discretion issue, and obviously, I think the biggest factor, like we just already mentioned, I'm repeating myself now, but paintball is a continuous game. We don't stop the clock like we do in football or for like a holding, whatever it is. So then we can review it from that moment. Mm-hmm. We don't have that in paintball unless it's a swing point major under 60 seconds.
It's really stressful on the refs.
It is, and you have to do it on the fly.
By the way, one of the things I see out of the really good ref staff, the really good refs, this is not relevant to the situation, is, and I've seen it this weekend, is refs. There's this gut feeling that you have to instantly throw that flag. I saw a thing, I got to throw that flag. Mm-hmm. And that leads to actually more mistakes. The really good refs I see will go, wait, did I see what I saw?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to throw the flag. And I know it's a continuous sport and seconds matter, but you get much better reffing if your refs are willing to take literally just 2 seconds, catch the breath and go, is that what I saw? Okay, I think, I'm certain about it and throw the flag.
Well, we only have so much time in our schedule here, so I'm curious how long they're going to continue this discussion. It looks like both teams still talking here to our head referees and the head referee on the field to figure out what's going on. I am curious. I don't think they would ever result to this, but obviously there's tons of media on the field that are unrelated to the webcast, and I'm curious if someone has the clip. You know what I mean?
Okay, all right.
We're getting into a conspiracy theory.
No. That's not the direction I'm going. I'm going to go a different.
I'm just talking at this point because we just have, we're just sitting here. But
no. This conversation about replay has come up multiple times this weekend. As a matter of fact, it came up multiple times last year. There is replay going on the pro field. This is the only field that has anything approaching anything similar to. However, what we I say we, and I'm not a semi-pro. God help me, I'll never be a semi-pro. But we as a community here at the semi-pro or WNXL level, I think we're very quickly getting to the point where there's going to be a conversation about the very fact that there's a webcast has allowed the ref staff here to go, wait a second, we think we can use this as a tool to help us get it right. And that's great. But that has led to the coaches now have an expectation of replay when honestly we're not really yet set up to do replay here.
Obviously, those guys don't know what's going on, right?
So sooner or later we have a conversation about how to do that. The problem is another candidate. So it's a lot we have to have a discussion about.
From what team? There was one live player per time.
And like I said, we've been sitting here for the left.
So Nana was dead?
So one live player per
No, that is not it.
That's what we're going with.
I'm just telling you that's not the case. Nana just stood on the field for 10 minutes.
On the field and on the club. Yep.
Hold on, please.
I've already held on.
That was my player at the end of the field. It was my player. She was about to hang the flag. I just don't. Okay, I'm just telling you, this is going to be so bad. Because
all right.
You're going to see my player sitting
there will not be a resolution to this that will be happy for the Heroines. I mean, that the truth is, I think at some point the refs are going to move on. They can't hold this forever.
I think right now it sounds to me like the Heroines are arguing that, okay, we didn't get the point, but that it was a minor and that the other player that Nana Blanco that went to the buzzer, she was alive hitting the buzzer. And so I think they're saying that she was dead and therefore no one was able to pull on the minor. So I think it is still a minor penalty, Matt.
Yeah.
Which would indicate, at least the way I understand the rules, that Tata Blanco did not shoot Tammy Adamson.
Yeah.
That being said, that means Tammy was shot by Nana Blanco either that or her own team. And so I'm hearing them saying Nana Blanco, who went to hit the buzzer, they're saying that she was hit, and therefore they didn't have anybody to pull on the minor. But it looks like Heroines have conceded the idea that they're not getting a point. You know what I mean? But I think they want to start with 5, and I think that's what they're arguing at this point. It doesn't sound like they're getting there. But like I said, we're going to wait it out here a couple more seconds. But just to, if you've been riding this train with us for the last
this crazy
train, 20 minutes or so,
keeps on rolling.
So the split deck match that was happening between this match was Dallas Vibe and High Rollers. High Rollers did take that win in overtime. Wasn't it overtime?
God, it's been so long.
Yes, it was overtime. I think it was overtime.
That was E1. This is E2, isn't it? I don't know where I've been for the last.
They did win overtime because they had like a minute and a half originally, and that one went to overtime, and then in the overtime point, High Rollers did win. So High Rollers going back to the finals for the first time, defeating Vibe, who actually defeated them in the finals a year ago at the first event of 2024. And now it looks like FEMMES may be booking their ticket to the finals for the very first time ever. FEMMES typically, we're struggling to get past the semifinals, sometimes getting past the quarterfinals at Cup and situations like that. So they have been looking for this opportunity for a long time.
That's big.
And if they are able to capitalize on that, we're going to see FEMMES hypothetically. Now, we still have 19 seconds in this game, but if the FEMMES are to win this match, then they would be facing High Rollers in the finals, which are two teams that we've never seen face off in the finals.
Is that true?
And never seen face off in the finals, no, because the FEMMES have never been there.
Yeah,
and the Rollers have only been
right.
there once.
That's true.
So potentially, also, we might see a brand new WNXL tournament winner because at this point we have played. This is the 10th WNXL tournament in the history of the WNXL. There was 3 per season: 22, 23, and 24. And of those 9 that we had played previously, Heroines had won 5, Dallas Vibe had won 3, and Destiny, a now defunct WNXL team that was replaced years ago after the second season, they won an event as well. So Heroines, Dallas Vibe, and Destiny are the only 3 teams that have won a WNXL event. And so now if we hypothetically do see the High Rollers and the FEMMES in finals, we would have a new WNXL winner, which is good for the sport and it's good for the WNXL, but heartbreaking for a team that has built a legacy like the Heroines when it comes to success in this division, in this league.
All right.
I think I'm gonna need to call in some dinner.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Uber
what's
Eats?
happening here.
Oh, are we really rolling? No, there's no teams on the field. I think the scoreboard. I think the scorekeeper is just.
There's a FEMMES player running down the field.
Oh, so the Heroines chose not to take.
No. I think so. Hang on a second.
Are they restarting the game?
Yeah, but this doesn't make any sense.
One of two things happened. Either I suspect what they just did is restart the game where they feel it should have ended, unless.
Yeah, but I'm really confused now.
Unless this is a brand new point.
That just seems like a formality.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm confused.
Correct. I think that's what just happened. I think as a formality, they said we stopped the game with a couple seconds of the clock. We're going to leave the one surviving player on the field in the position she was supposed to be, and we're going to restart the clock. It's just a formality. I suspect that's what just happened. Yeah, we're going to send our crack research team back into the fray. I have lurking outside of the booth Anthony D'Ambrosio, T2. He's waiting for his turn in the booth, but his turn is taking forever because that was pure chaos. Jen's going to find out information. I fear for her safety. It is way too ugly here in the pits right now. I am not afraid to leave the booth. This is my last. I'm beginning to stack the chairs up to form a barricade. Folks, I will be hiding in the production van for the remainder of this point. I think that is it, though. We're waiting for Jen to get a full story, but I think that's it. I think the Heroines have lost this one. FEMMES have punched their ticket onto the finals. This one will be talked about for a little while. If you're watching this and you're aware the internet chat forums are a thing, go ahead and jump on there and say the most vitriolic thing you can do. Because, there's going to be a whirlwind of controversy on this one. Jen is coming back alive, which is great. Jen, what do you got?
So we have Jason Trozen over here now, the commissioner of the NXL. and Anthony and Lori are pleading their case to them. It looks like this would potentially be it, though, as there are 3 seconds, and the FEMMES are going to get the point. But I'm not sure how we got from 19 seconds to 9 seconds. I'm not totally sure.
No, I'm not sure.
But
no, that happens because they likely went through the footage, figured out where the clock should have been when they stopped the game. They have done reconstructive surgeries on points before. I suspect that's what they did here. Can I get somebody in the production stuff to go ahead and give the ultimate Mikhail a hug? He's going to need that.
Yep, so they're going to call that the game here.
So
as we had mentioned, the
right.
FEMMES will be making their very first WNXL finals appearance. It has been a long time coming for the Femme Fatales. They are a legendary organization. This is a super frustrating loss for the Heroines. It's been years, and I think the Heroines have been after that 3-win season, and unfortunately it won't be this one. But we will have a new WNXL winner at this event here in Tampa, which is exciting, as we'll see the High Rollers face off against the Femme Fatale. High Rollers with 1 finals appearance and Femme Fatales with none. So we'll have some fresh faces on the pro field here in a bit.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us for a wild WNXL semifinal. We are going to take a break. Thank you, Jen, so much for joining us in what might be one of the longest shifts behind the mic that we've ever had.
I was only planning to be here for a minute.
Her plane is gone. She's here forever. She lives in Florida now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back. We'll see you soon.